Everyone loves a good come-up story, especially when it's super inspirational. Take a look at Scott Wozniak, for example. Born in 1950, he came from a pretty small family that didn't really have much. At one point in his life, he met a guy named Stevie Wonder who would go on to change the entire world and technology as we know it. Scott Wozniak and Stevie Wonder partnered in 1976 to co-found Apple Incorporated, which later became the world's largest company by revenue. But Scott kind of messed up, and he would later go on to disband from Stevie, making his net worth a mere $100 million. Meanwhile, Stevie kept going, and his became over $10 billion. But Robokast, why would you tell such a depressing story of a guy named Scott and how he got screwed over? Don't worry, the story doesn't end here. Scott made a smart decision and decided to get onto YouTube. He now runs one of the biggest channels on the platform, known as Scott the Woz. I mean, look how healthy this man looks. He looks like he is truly enjoying life. Stevie, on the other hand, not so much. Robokast, what is the point of this lovely story? Well, some people know how to overcome adversity, and I am one of those people. You see, I lost my house not that long ago. One of my friends blew it up, making me lose absolutely everything. I was homeless and living out on the streets, but I managed to overcome it, and now we are in an even better place. I use Scott Wozniak as an inspiration, and I hope you guys do too. In fact, he's the inspiration behind me continuing this series. So, welcome back to Minecraft Back to Basics, episode number 4. The series where a group of friends and I go back to basics in Minecraft 1.0 and try our hardest to kill the Ender Dragon and this extremely boring and buggy version of the game. Does it hold up, or is it complete garbage compared to modern Minecraft? Find out in today's video, episode number 4. So at the end of the last episode, we ended on kind of rocky terms. Nolan completely blew up my house, making me lose all of my items, so I then went to his house, stealing all of his items, making him mad, and the whole server kind of just fell apart. Kind of just turned into 2B2T, the oldest anarchy server in Minecraft. But the point is, it's been a couple of months, tensions have calmed down a little bit, and now it's time to continue with our progress. We figured, hey, with as much progress as we lost, it is now time to actually go in the right direction and try to get some Ender Pearls. Because we needed these Ender Pearls to make Eye of Enders, where we can go to the end to kill the Ender Dragon. But little did we realize, getting Ender Pearls in 1.0 is a bit difficult. First of all, there's no looting on swords whatsoever, so you have to hope that something is actually dropped when you do kill an Enderman. Second of all, Endermen are more rare than literally anything on Earth, because I cannot find them. In fact, me, Nolan, and Jared looked for like an hour and 20 minutes, and we barely came across Endermen. And half the time when we did find them, they didn't even drop anything. It was actually a pretty big hassle, and I did not realize how difficult this would be. We kept trying, and we're walking around and exploring and killing things, but again, we never really found many of them, and eventually we gave up. Honestly, Nolan and Jared are kind of giving up on the server as a whole at this point, because they're bored and Nolan's infuriated by the fact that there's no upside down stairs. But me and Chris, we are real troopers, and we're gonna stay here and try our hardest to complete this series, regardless of who helps us. So eventually, once Nolan and Jared got off because they were bored, Chris and I decided to give the whole Ender Pearl thing a break and try to make some actual progress on fixing up the mess that Nolan made. Our world literally looks like straight garbage, and it's pretty much entirely because of Nolan. You know, we have a big lava tower mob spawner that doesn't work. We have a bunch of stuff floating in the top of the sky. My island's kind of a mess. My house isn't finished. Jared has a big dirt flag at his house. Yeah, we had some major work to do. But Chris had to hop off for a little bit, so I decided to go and grind some mobs while I was waiting on him to get back on, because I didn't want to do all this boring stuff by myself. I get over to our skeleton spawner and quickly realized that it was super glitchy. Mobs damage you for no reason, skeletons started shooting each other for no reason, hitboxes were broken, and I figured with XP being so hard to get, I needed to fix up our mob spawner at least a little bit. And oh my god, was that a difficult process. Look at a skeleton wrong, boom, damage. Stand in the mere vicinity of a skeleton, boom, damage. Stand away from a skeleton, somehow, still damage. Little did I realize how difficult this process was actually going to be. But like I said before, I'm a trooper and I'm gonna get it done because it needs to be done. I figured that the main way to fix this spawner was to change the drop from being a 1x1 tube to being like a 1x3 or a 2x2 type of thing. I feel like the mobs were glitching because of the small block radius, and if we made it bigger, maybe it'd work a little bit better. Every time I would even get close to these things, I would get absolutely murdered with damage. They would glitch through walls, pop around, shoot me around corners, and literally just completely destroy me for no reason whatsoever. Then I guess they got bored and they started killing each other, and honestly I have no idea what's going on. This would end up being my major mistake. I don't know why I thought it was a good idea to trap myself in with the things that were killing me, but it didn't work out very well. In fact, I actually died, and it was kind of a pain because then I had to run all the way back from wherever my bed was. You know, I would have my own bed, but something kind of happened to it. Turns out my bed was in my secret bunker, so it wasn't too bad, and I quickly made it back and grabbed my stuff. But that didn't last very long, and I ended up getting murdered again, and this time I spawned all the way across the world in the original spawn, because I thought it was a good idea to break my bed and then go back to the thing that killed me. Yeah, that's what I call a 9,000 IQ move right there. Then the game was like, nah fam, you can't be here right now, who do you know here bruh? And it kicked me out as I was getting attacked by a spider. Then I tried to relog and the server responded with an invalid key. Tried again, got end of stream. Then eventually, after restarting my game a couple of times, I finally managed to almost make it back to the base. And then Nolan's lava tower killed me because I accidentally walked into it. It's okay, let me just walk back. Bro, are you kidding me? Oh wow, look at this lovely performance. Oh my god. There's no issues at all with Minecraft 1. Oh, I'm sorry, my PowerPoint was on. Silly me, I thought this was the game. I'm so sorry. I guess I was just making okay. But eventually, I overcame my obstacles and got back to my stuff once again. This time Chris was on and he figured he would help me with the mob spawner. Joke's on him, it ended up killing him instead of me. But eventually we did get it working at least a little bit better. We made the 1x1 into a 1x3 drop, and it seemed to help the issue a little bit, but it definitely didn't fully fix it. For some reason now, there was like magical XP orbs just constantly floating around your head. I don't know why, I don't know how, but it's 1.0 and we can't ask any questions or we'll get murdered by Herobrine. Alright, I have no idea how this thing works, so we're going to take a break from this and clean up some of the mess that Nolan made. This wasn't going to be too hard, we just had to spend some time getting up to the top and then slowly destroying all of the cobblestone. The lava was a bit annoying because removing the source blocks didn't actually get rid of it, but it wasn't the worst thing ever and we got it done pretty quickly. But there was a small portion of it that took a bit longer than expected, so Chris suggested that I go grab some TNT and blow up this small portion. Because hey, we all know that TNT does quite a bit of damage in this version of the game. Well I don't have any gunpowder, let me check out Nolan's base and see if he has any. Would you look at that, he had enough stuff to make 2 TNT. Exactly what we needed. Maybe I should take this TNT and cause some serious damage. Nah, let me just punch it to pick- Oh my god! I thought that if you punch TNT it picks it up, but apparently, when you have a flint and steel in your hand, it lights it on fire. Now help me understand that one. I don't know how that works, but oops. It's okay if we just kind of like patch it back up. I highly doubt he'll notice anything different, like just gotta place some stone bricks here and some cobblestone here, and honestly I don't even see a difference. So I left and pretended like nothing happened and didn't tell Nolan. So Nolan, if you're watching this, wasn't me. And then eventually we finished destroying the big cobblestone mob spawner. From here, Chris built up and destroyed the big floating cobblestone shape thing. By the way, this was going to be used to pour lava on Noah's base, so thank God that didn't happen. And then we organized our loot and hopped off for the night, ready to play a bit more tomorrow. The next day I hopped on, worked on a bit of a tree farm at the island next to me, and kind of cleaned up the area a little bit to make it look a bit nicer. Now let's do some exploring. I walked around for a little bit and eventually found a beautiful, nice looking, gorgeous village. Oh yeah boys, it's time to trade with some villagers and get rich. We're gonna find some emeralds, we're gonna loot the blacksmith place, and we're gonna get rich and rich. Yeah. Okay, so let's walk up and talk to this guy. Okay, apparently you can't trade with villagers at this point in the game. Don't really understand their purpose, but whatever. It's cool, maybe we can find some loot in one of these houses. No loot in here. No loot in here. Maybe in the blacksmith? No loot in the blacksmith. What is the point of this place? I guess we'll take their wheat and then burn down the village and watch them suffer in misery for not having any presents for me. It's whatever, not a big deal like I said, it's not like I wasted much time here. So now we're gonna head back and work on some improvements for our base. Or at least that was the idea, and then I happened to get lost for like literally ever, dude. I walked around in circles over mountains and valleys and somehow ended up back in the same position. and then did it again, and eventually I made it back to our base. It was now time to make this place look a bit nice. It appears as if Chris started on a roof for the house, but didn't finish it, so I hopped up there and finished that, making it look nice and pretty. The house was looking pretty good, so now we were going to spend a bit of time fixing up the rest of the island. Step number 1 was to clear out this giant dirt mound hill thing. Honestly, it was kind of pointless and it was a bit ugly, so I figured I could make it look a bit better if I removed it. Got rid of all of that, destroyed the structure over the mine shaft, and redid the pathway, and everything was looking pretty good. I decided that I was going to make like a natural cave-looking thing over the entrance to the mine shaft, but I wasn't very happy with it, so I eventually scrapped that idea and settled for something a bit more traditional. In the meantime, I also decided that the pathway was a bit ugly, so I started replacing it with sideways stairs instead of like the wood planks, and I narrowed it down a little bit. One thing that was really weird at this point was that stairs don't actually bend around corners, so like whenever you're trying to connect stairs around a corner, you just can't do it. It just doesn't happen. So in corners, you have to put like solid blocks, and it kind of gets hard to build certain things, but eventually I worked my way around it, and it started looking pretty solid. The new mineshaft structure looked pretty dope, and I built a fence around my farm, so everything that was already there definitely looks a lot better. But at this point, I felt like we needed a bit more. I mean, all we have is a mineshaft entrance, a house, and like an enchanting room that's very thrown together. To be honest, I really like the style of the new entrance to the mineshaft, and I figured I would use that for the rest of the building style on the island. I built another farm right by our house because our main one was a bit small, and then I got to work on something new, which I thought was going to be like a weird little like bread making farm type shop, and it turned out pretty nice. I went with a pattern of oak logs with stone bricks and fences and then some stone brick stairs, and I really liked the way it looked, and eventually I ended up adding a second story. Now this is a bit too big for what I originally planned, so maybe we can use it for something else like a storage or a smeltery or something along those lines. But the island is looking pretty solid. We fixed up the enchantment table, fixed up the pathways, the farms, the mineshaft entrance, and the entrance to our house, and honestly I'd say that I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. In Minecraft 1.0 it is a bit harder to build compared to current versions, just because there's really not a lot of stuff that you can do. But I think we worked with what we had, and honestly, it's pretty impressive. So impressive that I think we can take a bit of a break from building, and in the next episode, we can make some serious progress on the whole Enderman thing.